Donald Trump's trip to Scotland is not just another example of the laziest president in history stealing more taxpayer funds to give to his golf clubs as he hangs out all day. This is a strategic move by the administration to quite literally hide Donald Trump from reporters. The Wall Street Journal is banned from coming on this trip. But it's not going well for Trump. Of course, he was booed yesterday upon his arrival. He's been protested across the country, and his Epstein scandal isn't going away. And we saw that last night in the middle of the morning, I guess I should say, when Donald Trump completely melted down on Truth Social over the Epstein bombshells that continue to erupt. We're going to get into them all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into the meltdown that Trump had, I wanted to start with a moment this morning when Senator Markwayne Mullin was called out by Jake Tapper, surprisingly of all people, for the lie he's been telling about Obama and Epstein.
And that's why Attorney General Bondi was saying for months. Well, then tell me why for months she was saying that she's going to release the information tomorrow.
We made the assumption that the judges would release the order and allow the evidence that they had that it could be heard. But it's all been sealed. And so if it's been a sealed case, we can't release it until the judges allow us to release it. And you would think common sense would play. That's why they asked for transparency. We want transparency. We want the judges to have transparency in this too. But remember, there was a plea deal that was struck in 2009, way before I was in office, way before Trump was even considering to be in office, way before Pam Bondi was in office, way before Kash Patel was director. 2009, there was a sweetheart plea deal that was made underneath the Obama administration with Epstein.
Right. That's not
and that sweetheart has not been exposed.
No, it was 2000.
Oh, it's not? Well, when was the case heard?
It was 2008. It was the U.S. attorney at the time was a guy named Alex Acosta. He was a Bush appointee. He went on to become President Trump's Secretary of Labor. It all took place in 2008.
Who was in office at the time?
2008, George W. Bush.
Who was in office at the time?
George W. Bush.
No, 2009 is when the case came out, and it was and Obama was in office at the time.
It's not true. But let me ask you a question.
Even weigh in on that. But I'll go back to what you're saying about it wasn't true. The case was sealed in 2009. That's absolutely true. It was heard in 2008. It was sealed in 2009.
The point is that the sweetheart deal, which was completed in 2008, was under the Bush administration, U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta. That's why Alex Acosta resigned in the first Bush administration, because the Miami Herald had written this story in 2018 about how Epstein got away with so much. And then in 2019, the U.S. attorney under President Trump, Jeff Berman in the Southern District of New York, then brought charges against him. So
what is so crazy to me, and why I wish Jake Tapper had gone a little bit farther in that pushback, is that if Markwayne Mullin is saying that giving Epstein that sweetheart deal is such a bad thing, he's taking the accusatory tone with the lie he's telling about Obama, then what is it to then take the person who gave the sweetheart deal and put him in your cabinet? That's what Trump did with Acosta. So if Obama, having oversaw that at the beginning of his presidency for some attorney in Florida would have been so bad, how bad would it be to then take that guy and put him in your administration? Like, they're just not connecting the dots. We need the media to push back even more, or to give Republicans like Thomas Massie just the opportunity to call out Trump and Johnson right here.
It wasn't until just recently that I realized that people who were allegedly working on this weren't sincere in their efforts. And also, politics is the art of the doable. There's enough public pressure right now that we can get 218 votes and force this to a vote on the floor.
Now, with Republicans slamming and ripping into Donald Trump for the complete, it's not even mishandling, it's the cover-up. They can call it a mishandling if they want to be nicer, but it's the cover-up of his Epstein crimes. He's freaking out. He's got no one left to back him, and anyone who is using just the most flimsy excuses possible. It's the reason he's trying to distract, as we saw in this meltdown on Truth Social. Networks aren't allowed to be political pawns for the Democrat Party. It has become so outrageous that, in my opinion, their licenses could and should be revoked. MAGA Wow, Comcast NBC's viewership is down almost 28% this year. Their programming is terrible, their management even worse. They are an arm of the Democrat Party. And in an incredibly shocking post, Trump wrote, "I'm looking at a large amount of money owed by the Democrats after the presidential election and the fact that they admit to paying, probably illegally, $11 million to singer Beyonce for an endorsement. Not true. $3 million for expenses to Oprah's $600,000 to very low-rated TV anchor Al Sharpton, and others to be named for doing absolutely nothing. These ridiculous fees were incorrectly stated in the books and records. You are not allowed to pay for an endorsement. It is totally illegal to do so." Can you imagine what would happen if politicians started paying people to endorse them? All hell would break loose. Kamala and all of those that received endorsement money broke the law. They should all be prosecuted. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So now Kamala Harris has to go to jail because she spent money to set up a stage for Oprah to host an event that she paid her production company for to host an event that she had to build the sound stage for. Like, what are we doing at this point? The distractions are so sad, and MAGA falling for them is even sadder. And the expectation that you would so quickly move on from the story that has dominated your conspiracies for almost a decade now, that you'd just be so willing to pick up and move and think, well, I guess Mr. Trump he's not going after Epstein, but we know why. It's because he's focused on other things. What we're going to make sure he does, I don't know why I'm Southern here, but he's going after Kamala. That's what he's going to do. It's like he thinks you're stupid. Do you not realize that? Like, he thinks you are stupid. And if you buy it, and if you've bought it, you are. There's no other way to put it. You don't actually care. You're just willing to fall in line with whatever new conspiracy, new thing to get you angry there is. That's why it's so hard to take these people seriously with their outrage over Epstein, because if they ever really cared, they would have been upset with a guy who was his best friend. But they're not. They're liars. And their lies are so flimsy and easy to pick apart that even Jake Tapper can do it.
The administration is saying they can't release this information. Now, I understand you're talking about a resolution you offered calling for the grand jury to release transcripts from the grand jury investigation into Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and a judge said no. But there's troves of information that the administration could release tomorrow if they wanted to, and they've been promising to, and they haven't.
Oh, Jake, that's not true. You know better than that too, because you know every piece of file that they have, every video, every document, every flight log has all been heard by a grand jury. They've all been seen by a grand jury. And we want the judges to release it. Pam Bondi has called on the judges to release it. Trump has called on them to release it. And the Congress has called on them to release it. But we can't, because there is a true co-equal branches of government, so we can't force the judicial branch to do anything. All we can do is ask them to do it. We assume
I'm not talking about
that the judges would release it.
I'm not talking about the grand jury stuff.
There isn't, Jake, there isn't one piece of document that Kash Patel at the FBI or Pam Bondi in her office has that a grand jury hasn't seen. So everything that they have
she was
would
talking
have
about
to be
releasing this
released
information
by the judges.
She was talking about releasing this information. She could release it tomorrow. She doesn't.
She was, but she can't. No, she can't release it until the judges release it. Because if it's been heard by a grand jury, and Jake, you know this, if it's been heard by a grand jury, regardless if Pam Bondi has it or the FBI has it, the judge that overseen the case that the grand jury listened to and saw the documentation and the evidence has to be released by the judge. And you know that.
I don't think that that's correct. I think that the FBI and the Southern District of New York and the Southern District of Florida, and just because something has been shown before a grand jury, that doesn't mean it is only going to be, it can only be released to the public by a judge. If the FBI has it, they can release it.
Then why did the judge refuse to release the records in Florida? Because once it's been heard in a case, it is a sealed case. It is sealed by the grand jury. And you have been through this. I don't know why we're even debating this, because if it is considered evidence in a case, then it is sealed.
The information that has been released.
Bring a separate judge on and ask them the same question.
Grand jury hearings and transcripts, the judge has control over. Absolutely. That doesn't mean that everything that went into the grand jury is therefore locked from the public. It does not work that way, and that's why Attorney General Bondi
If the
was
case
saying
is
for
sealed,
months. Well, then tell me why
well,
for
no.
months she was saying that she's going to release the information tomorrow.
Also, when has this administration ever cared about judges? Is that a new thing? We're caring about judges now? Oh, did y'all hear that? The judge said no. Wonder what we're going to do. You were happy to be held in contempt of court, but a judge said we can't release files that we can. I'm going to ponder. I guess we love the rule of law. We love the rule of law. It's so important, that rule. This guy's a literal criminal, and he cares about judges? It's embarrassing. But truly the most embarrassing thing I saw this morning, and there was a lot, was this right here from Mark Wayne Mullen.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche met this week with Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving 20 years in prison for sex trafficking. After the meeting, Maxwell's attorney indicated to reporters that he hopes President Trump will give her a pardon. What do you think of that idea? Will it be a mistake for President Trump to pardon Maxwell? And do you think that she's credible?
I don't know enough about Maxwell or the conversation to even weigh in on that. But I'll go back to what you're saying about it wasn't true. The case was sealed in 2009. That's absolutely true. It was heard in 2008. It was sealed in 2009.
The point is that the sweetheart deal, which was completed in 2008, was under the Bush administration, U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta. That's why Alex Acosta resigned in the first Bush administration, because the Miami Herald had written this story in 2018 about how Epstein got away with so much. And then in 2019,
You got no comment? You don't know enough about her? Well, maybe in your job as a U.S. Senator, you should pick up a newspaper. They have they're black and white. They got all these words on them. I know, Oklahoma. No offense to Oklahoma people, but maybe words aren't the strong suit down there. I see those education ratings, Mark. You don't know? How do you not know? You've been conspiracy crazed for years now, and you don't know? She's a criminal. How about that? Change your mind? Does that flip a switch? Can we not get a follow-up question? Sorry, I'm furious. This is insanity. A media coverage has been laughable. I know that we've stayed on it mostly, but the way that we're doing this is bad. No. Mainstream media, yes. Independent media, doing our job. That's all I'll say. And we're going to continue to call it out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.